I'm totally out of ideas for these stupid intros.
Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Time for a review, Holograms, self-titled. This is the debut full-length LP of Swedish quartet Holograms, and this is out now on Captured Tracks Records. Kind of a surprising release for the label. Surprising for me because the bands on Captured Tracks kind of have a reputation for having very lo-fi recording styles and production that is just slathered in reverb. And I guess once I kind of put it that way, it's not that weird. These guys do have some reverb on their recording, and their presentation is kind of rough around the edges. But I guess the left hook comes in with this band's very kind of classic post-punk style. They most definitely have an attitude that is not too much unlike that of Gang of Four. And they've also got a very driving and I want to say dark momentum, a lot like Joy Division. There's a little bit of garage punk peppered throughout a couple songs on this LP, and there are moments where Holograms feels as frantic and kind of manic as like an early Buzzcocks song. Now, even though this band is clearly influenced by the old, they don't sound dated. Not by a long shot. To me, they actually sound like a handful of new punk bands that have a very kind of rough and grainy quality to their recordings, like the band Ice Age, and I would compare them to the Australian band Royal Headache too, though their phi's are both low. I would say Holograms' emotions or feelings are even lower, meaning there is a lot of unhappiness and malcontent between the 12 songs on this LP. I mean, to me, the songs on here kind of sound like a cathartic release for this very difficult to fight off depression. But these guys like try their asses off to fight off this depression with very crunchy, head-bashing guitars, very hard-hitting, tight drums, and the occasional keyboard too. Now, pretty much every single song on this LP takes a very simple approach, an almost wire pink flag level of simplicity. The track Chasing My Mind comes to mind with this very basic synth melody that plays over and over throughout the song, and a chord progression that by now you have probably heard in about 100,000 songs. There are not a lot of details hidden between the choruses and the verses on this thing, and they are not really between the layers of instrumentation either, and the very kind of rough production kind of muffles what subtleties there are. But subtlety, even when Holograms is playing like a slower or a sadder song, it's not really their game. Instead, these guys are trying to perform these tracks with just straight guts and spunk, with some very memorable hooks that are emphasized by these eccentric vocals. And that depression I was talking about earlier, it leads to a lot of very tortured songs. The opening track on here, MONOLITH, is a little unsettling, describing a scene with people standing in line in concrete floors. The factory setting that I've heard or read these guys work in as a day job. And other tracks on here like Stress and Memories of Sweat, and especially ABC City, repeat a lot of the same grievances, kind of bringing this theme of the album home, especially ABC City, talking about isolation and desolation in the lyrics. It's really a theme that ties this entire album together, and these guys deal with the tension in different ways. Other songs on here come off more frenetic, like the track Transform, which has these wailing guitars just screaming in the background with these syncopated bass and drum hits really laying on this wild groove. But there's kind of a sliver of bright attitude on the track Astray, which has like these octave pumping synthesizers and these hand claps toward the end of the song. And the track Fever gets pretty anthemic with a really melodic synth line toward the finish of that track too. If I had any gripes about it, it's that Execution-wise, I do feel like this album could have a little bit more to it. 5-minute tracks like Sweden's Pride, I feel like could have been delivered with a bit more intensity to really kind of make the song not only feel climactic, but worth the 5 minutes it lasts. Most of the songs on here fit in a 2 to 3 minute range, and it's really kind of a, I guess, a perfect song length for these guys. I think it's fantastic how these guys really do a lot with just a little. Stylistically, I do wish this band was a little more unique, a touch more unique, but I feel like these guys do make up for the lack of innovation with some really catchy and just great songs. Basic, but strong and infectious. I love the moody, dark attitude of this thing. I love the style. I love how the 12 songs on this thing lyrically kind of attack the root of that sadness that is really kind of getting to these guys. I feel like Holograms has a lot going for them. I'm kind of feeling a light to decent 8 on this thing. If you guys have listened to it, what do you think about it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Why? And what should I review next? Anthony Fantano, Holograms, forever.